Hi everybody, it's Rob,
And Karen.
we're here at our house, and we're in the dining room this time instead of the breakfast room. Little change in venue, and it's late at night right now. It's late for us.
Yeah.
It's almost 9 o'clock on Thursday night, and we're trying to be a little bit more timely with getting things out to everybody so they can be ready for Sunday and things. And we hope you guys are safe and healthy. We're safe and healthy here at our house, being sheltering in place a lot and just staying at home.
Mhm.
We get to go over to a park that's right next to us, so
Right.
that's nice. And we go for a lot of walks
Mhm.
and things like that to keep active and
Yeah.
take care of ourselves.
We
And
really appreciate the sunshine. So today was a nice sunny day, so we got a chance to go out. So we weren't quite as stir crazy as we have been some other days.
yeah, the rainy days are harder than the sunny
They
days.
are.
That's for
They were
sure.
really
That's
tough.
right. And so we're going to go right into our Bible story today.
Okay.
All right. And I just want to remind everybody where we're at. We're in the Gospel according to Mark. Uh, the Gospel according to
Right.
Mark. It's about Jesus
Mhm.
and the apostles, and they're they're right by the Sea of Galilee, up in
Okay.
the northern part of Israel,
Mhm.
and they were on one side of the Sea of Galilee, and they were doing some things over there. And then they took a boat trip, and during the boat trip they had a storm, right?
Right.
And Jesus calms the storm.
Right.
They get to the other side, and there's a different kind of storm with the demoniac, they call it.
The Gerasene demoniac.
That's
yes.
right. So there was somebody in it, and he was running around in the tombs.
Right.
And things like that. So he calmed that storm too. And now they got right back in the boat,
Okay.
and they sailed back over to the other side. Now, when they were in Gerasene,
Okay.
that was a Gentile area, and now they're going back to the Jewish area. So they're going to be with
Okay.
Jewish people again. And
Okay.
so that's sort of important to our story. There's still going to be some conflict and things like that, but there's going to be a different things, and there's another healing story. Actually, there's two healing stories in this in the story. So
right.
I'll read the
really
first paragraph.
the Gerasene demoniac, that was a healing story too.
That's
so it was
right.
kind of like a storm inside the person, maybe you can think of it. And then Jesus both calmed the storm and then healed the person of all the demons.
Right. Well, I'm excited to hear what Jesus is going to do today too, and how it's going to happen. So let's hear as the story unfolds. I'll read a paragraph, and then if you could read a paragraph, and we'll go through it like that.
Okay, we'll go through it together.
It's in Mark chapter 5, starting at verse 21, and we're going to read through the end of the chapter. When Jesus had crossed again in the boat to the other side, a great crowd gathered around him, and he was by the sea. Then one of the leaders of the synagogue, named Jairus, came, and when he saw him, fell at his feet and begged him repeatedly, "My little daughter is at the point of death. Come and lay your hands on her, so that she may be made well and live." So he went with him.
And a large crowd followed him and pressed in on him. Now there was a woman who had been suffering from hemorrhages for 12 years. Wow. She had endured much under many physicians and had spent all that she had, and she was no better. She grew worse. She had heard about Jesus and came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak. For she said, "If I but touch his clothes, I will be made well." Wow. Immediately her hemorrhage stopped, and she felt in her body that she was healed of her disease. Immediately aware that the power had gone forth from him, Jesus turned around at the crowd and said, "Who touched my clothes?" And his disciples said to him, "You see the crowd pressing in on you. How can you possibly figure out who touched you?" He, Jesus, looked all around to see who had done it. But the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came in fear and trembling, fell down before him, and told him the whole truth. He said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your disease."
While he, Jesus, was still speaking, some people came from the leader's house to say, "Your daughter is dead. Why trouble the teacher any further? But overhearing what they said, Jesus said to the leader of the synagogue, "Do not fear, only believe." He allowed no one to follow him except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. When they came to the house of the leader of the synagogue, he saw a commotion, people weeping and wailing loudly. When he entered, he said to them, Why do you make a commotion and weep?
Mm-hmm.
The child is not dead, but sleeping." And they laughed at him. Then he put them all outside and took the child's father and mother and those who were with him, and he went in where the child was. He took her by the hand and said to her, "Talitha kum," which means, "Little girl, get up." And immediately the girl got up and began to walk about. She was 12 years of age. At this, they were overcome with amazement. He strictly ordered them that no one should know this, and he told them to give her something to eat.
Wow.
That is quite the story, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, especially since right now
I
we're
know.
all also scared of being sick and scared of the possibility of getting other people sick. It really hits home.
Yeah, I think we should pray right now.
Okay.
Dear God, I thank you for this story. I ask you to come into our hearts and minds, and please just empower us with the knowledge of what you have to say to us tonight about this story. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of fear. I heard fear in this story.
Mm-hmm.
I heard a lot of healing, though. That was a good thing.
That was hot, right?
Just a lot of stuff was going on. You're right.
Yeah.
And the crowd was important to the story too.
Right.
The people, you know what I mean? There was a lot of people in that was interesting. One thing that struck me out of all these three stories, if we go back to the demoniac, and he was running around in the tombs, as soon as Jesus came ashore and the demoniac saw him, the demoniac ran up to him and he bowed down. And he got down on the ground in front of Jesus and started to plead with him. And so the beginning of this story, Jesus comes across on the boat.
Right.
And now, instead of somebody who's an outcast from society,
right,
a leader of the synagogue, somebody who was like the leader of the area kind of thing, somebody who was probably wealthy and had a lot of status, came and immediately went down and bowed down in front of Jesus. And I thought that was interesting, right?
Yeah.
So that's not the only time. The third time that in these short verses that somebody bows down in front of Jesus is the woman after she's healed, after she touches the cloak.
Right.
And Jesus feels his power. He says, "Who did that?" She's actually fearful. She's like, "Oh wow, that was me. I know that happened. Like, I know what he's talking about."
Especially because she was trying to do it like on the down low. She
was
trying to just kind of like, okay, I really don't want to bother with somebody who's obviously an important teacher. Let me just kind of get the hem of his robe, and that'll be enough, and nobody will know, what's happened.
She knew what happened, right?
Right.
And Jesus knew what happened immediately. Right. And I love this immediately. All these things are happening. Boom, 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 boom. It's all happening just like all of a sudden. As soon as she touches the robe, as soon as he says, "Hey, who did that?" Then we get the apostles. What are you talking about?
Right.
They don't even get it, right?
Too many people.
There's too many people.
Kind of like imagine the lake and everybody there.
Yeah.
Right?
She immediately goes down and says, "I'm the one that did it. I just knew that you were going to heal me." And he takes this person who is an outcast. So she is another example of somebody who's outside of society. Right. A lot like the leper. Right at the beginning of this whole gospel thing, right in chapter 1, there was a story about a leper. It was one of the first healing miracles that Jesus
Oh
does.
yeah,
And
I remember that one.
he touches the leper.
Right.
You see, he reaches out to the leper, this time a
Mhm.
person who is an outcast, because this person couldn't participate in any of the social gatherings.
Right.
She couldn't be part of a family unit because she
Right.
was bleeding, and that was sort of bad. That was somebody who you wanted to
Right.
exclude from the thing, from the situations of like family and
Mhm.
the
Right.
separation seems to be very important in these stories. So this is this person's separated, right?
Mhm.
But has to go through the crowd, touches Jesus, knows she did it. She feels bad about it because, oh, I'm
Right.
supposed to be
I'm not supposed to be
excluded. I'm
doing.
not
Right.
supposed
I'm
to be
not
touching.
supposed to be doing this.
Bows down, says, I'm sorry, I just want to be healed. Jesus says this. What did he say? He called her daughter.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is a word that's repeated a lot in these two stories. He
Mhm.
says daughter.
Right.
So he's welcoming this person back into the family,
Mhm.
saying, you are part of our family. You're part of my family. You are important. You are not
Right.
separated anymore. And it's your faith that did
What a
it.
great thing to hear.
It is really
Yeah.
great for somebody. 12 years, that's a long
Sure.
time in this person's life.
That's
She's been
a
excluded.
long time to be. And we think, I think we're at what, 3 weeks now
Yeah.
that we've been. I'm really struck by how, for these stories,
Yeah.
this whole idea of Jesus touching people, and touching people who you weren't supposed to touch. I mean, we're living in a time right now where, unless
Right.
it's the people in the same house with us, we're not supposed to touch. I mean, we can't even gather together at Temple Lutheran Church right now
No.
because of fear of getting sick or possibly making somebody sick. And, you know, when I think about like when we share the peace in church, that's one of my favorite times.
Right.
Because it's an opportunity for me to greet other people. People know I like to hug, so the people I know well, we usually give each other a big hug. And not only can we not do that, we can't even be in the same space right now.
Yeah.
And that's what I miss is the
You know what
touch
else?
and the idea that Jesus
Yeah.
can still touch us.
Amen.
And we have to touch each other in different ways, but Jesus
That's
is
right.
still touching us despite the pandemic.
The other thing that's great about that whole idea of
Mhm.
passing the peace is sometimes you'll hear people say, hey, brother, I love you, or hey, sister, I love you, hey, you're
Right.
my sister, you're my brother.
Right.
That familial, that kind of, you're not separate from us, you're not away from us, you're part of us.
Part of
you're
our
part
family,
of
our church
our
family.
our church family.
Mhm.
And so that's good.
Yeah.
I love that idea. And so this is Jesus welcoming an outcast back into the family. And then immediately somebody walks up and says something really that's very much a downer, says,
Mhm.
hey, don't bother him anymore, Jarius. Your daughter's dead. And that's got to be like, the guy has to be like heartbroken.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I thought we could make it in time, you know?
Right.
And so Jesus, and he says, hey, the girl's just asleep. And that's sort of weird.
Wow.
Yeah. But people use that sometimes. And so people are probably thinking, oh, no, he's just saying
Mhm.
asleep, you know, like as a metaphor for death and things like that. But no.
Yeah. Kind of like all those euphemisms. Think about when somebody maybe in your family has died or somebody you hear of that's died. What are all the other things that people say to avoid saying they died? They say they passed away, or they're gone, or
they're in heaven with Jesus. That's sort
which
of,
isn't bad, but it's sometimes we just gotta call it like it is.
I like to say the person's body stopped working. That's my favorite way to say it, because there's more to people than this body thing. And so it's a great way, especially for concrete thinkers that are younger kids.
Yeah. You have a little kid.
Their body stopped working.
Right.
There's going to be people whose bodies are going to stop working during this time, you know.
Yeah.
But we have to trust that they have an eternal part of them, something that is an eternal soul that will go on to be a part of God's kingdom and the kingdom to come. That's sort of that whole, like this whole idea that God's kingdom is here already
Right.
and going to come in the future.
Sure.
And that's exactly what we're living into in these stories, and that's
right.
That's so cool. So Jesus says to Jared, "Don't worry about it," and he takes takes a few of his key players, and I love this because this is pointing us backwards to the beginning of this gospel. Also, it's pointing us back to that time where he's walking along the Sea of Galilee. He sees some fishermen, so he takes the fishermen who he made fishers of men and women, of humans, and he takes these fishers. He takes them. It's Peter, James and John. James and John are the sons of Zebedee, the sons of thunder. We talked about that before. So he takes the three, the inner circle. So it's the four of them, and they've got each other's back, just like we've got your back, and just like you've got my back. And I appreciate that so much. So they're going, and Jairus is with them, and they get there, and there's these people outside. Oh, you know, that's how they're mourning. You know,
you do a pretty good wail.
We do. We
Are
do
we surprised?
different ways of grieving, right? There's different ways of grieving, and we're probably going to talk about that more over the next few weeks. But there's different ways of grieving, right? So this is one of the ways they're grieving. Jesus says, "Oh, you shouldn't be doing that. She's just asleep," and they laugh at him, and I'm like, "What?" That's sort of weird for us to hear somebody laughing at Jesus. But there's a conflict, you know, between the world's ways or the world's ideas and God's ideas. See, Jesus has something else in mind, and he goes inside. But
the other thing though is, hold on.
Yeah.
Think about when you're really kind of uncomfortable, or somebody says something that just seems like too good to be true. So sometimes the laugh isn't like a mocking ha-ha laugh. It's kind of that.
So uncomfortable,
like. It's that kind of uncomfortable, like.
Jesus kicks everybody out of the house anyhow. He says, "Just get outside. Go outside and wait.
Give me some space.
Give me some space." But he takes certain people with him. He takes the Father, the Mother, Peter, James, and John. He takes some witnesses in with him.
Right.
He just doesn't do any kind of big ritualistic thing. Just grabs the kid by the hand, this 12-year-old girl, and says, "Talitha kum," which means, "Little girl, get up."
Get up.
And she is restored to life and to health.
Right.
And you know what's weird is there's this
he touched her again.
Pardon me?
It's another touching.
It is another touch.
Healing.
And it's a touching of a dead person, which is another
big no-no in their society. Don't touch anything dead.
So this is like all these things are coming together here. The separation, not even the separation of death and life is too much for Jesus to overcome. And it's just, it's overwhelming sometimes to think about these different things and how they're all fitting together in this very short story and in this very compact way. Just in 5 chapters of this gospel, we've gotten so much information. Right. Now, I do want to point out one sort of neat idea about this. This not even healing miracle. This is actually a resurrection miracle. There's 2 other stories in the Old Testament. So, see, we talk about the Old Testament. That's the first section of the Bible, the Jewish Bible, the Hebrew Bible, and then the New Testament, which is stories of Jesus and after Jesus. Right. And so in the Old Testament stories, there's these 2 prophets, Elijah and Elisha, and they have these healing miracles where they actually bring back to life these sons, these young men. And so, but what's interesting about those stories is there's these sort of ritualistic things, and they're alone when they do them. So we know about them because they're recorded in the Old Testament. Right. But there's a lot of laying on of hands. There's a lot of like very physical things that they do, you know. And this is a new thing. You see, that's one of the things about this New Testament, these stories about Jesus, is God is doing a new thing in a new way. Right. And so this is not any kind of trauma thing. It's just grabbing your hand, say, get up. Get up. Get up. And sometimes we need to listen to that too. Sometimes I tell you, over this past few weeks, there's been times where I've had to tell myself, get up and get it done. And
Right.
sometimes it's hard to do that. It's hard to get motivated. It was
Sure.
hard to get motivated at 9 o'clock at night to do this. But I'll tell you what, I am more energized now, especially because I've been talking about Jesus and this great story. I have to show you my t-shirt, okay? My sweatshirt, okay? Are you
Okay.
ready? One of my friends has a Spider-Man sweatshirt that he wears to church, and I decided I was going to wear my Spider-Man sweatshirt while we did our Bible study today. Here's my Spider-Man sweatshirt. But, oh, there's more.
Oh, dear.
Just wait, there is more.
Yeah,
to my
he's
Spider-Man
really
sweatshirt.
going to do it, guys.
Yes.
Sorry.
Spidey is here. I did it for you. All right, guys.
Okay.
I'm back.
Thanks, guys. He's back. No.
I
Okay,
just thought we all
so
needed a good laugh. Okay.
There you go. Thank you.
Okay, so those were our
Which is
healing.
really interesting. I don't know if you guys can see this. The other thing is Rethink Church, and that's what his t-shirt underneath his Spider-Man costume says, which is exactly what we're doing during this pandemic.
Yeah.
We are being church with one another even when we can't be together on Sunday morning. So through these Bible studies, through participating in the worship service from our home, and we look at it on maybe a computer screen or our telephones, people calling one another during the week saying, hey,
email?
How are you doing?
Text?
Texting probably more like it. But we're still being the church for one another. We're being Christ to one another. And so we are rethinking church. And each one of you guys that are being the church to one another are being a superhero. Not quite as goofy as Rob in his Spider-Man sweatshirt, but you are.
We appreciate it.
You are superheroes with the power of Christ.
With the power of Christ. So I want to tell you that there's a sign outside Temple Lutheran Church right now that says that the church isn't a building. It's the people. And that we are gathering online, and that we're gathering together in soul and spirit. And let's gather together in prayer right now.
Okay.
Oh, dear God, I thank you so much for this wonderful time that we've had together. I thank you for my family, God. I thank you for my church. Thank you for the Bible. I thank you for these great stories about Jesus. And thank you for the ability to just have time to talk about it and to pray to you. Lord, please watch after all my friends at Temple Lutheran Church, all of us here in Springfield and Havertown and the greater Philadelphia area and Pennsylvania and in the United States and in the world, Lord. I worry about all those people that are on the margins in our society and societies throughout the world, Lord. I ask you to put your healing touch on all of us. I ask you to take care of the world leaders and help them have wisdom as they guide us during this time. And please put your healing and protective and comforting touch on all those healthcare workers that are out there on the front lines of this battle. I ask all these things through your Son, Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Bye, guys. Look forward
See you
to
next
seeing
time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.